you want to take 1,848 feet and you want to figure out how many miles is that. To be able to convert from feet to miles, you want to go looking for a conversion fraction or a conversion ratio that contains both feet and miles. Up above, I have all of these possibilities, and you're going to just pick one of them. Just like numbers cancel, like 5/10 becomes 1/2, labels cancel as well. So if you have the label feet in the numerator and you have the label feet in the denominator, then those labels can cancel. So when I'm making my decision which one I want to pick, the first thing I'm going to do is look at the label I'm starting with and the label I want it to be, and I'm going to find the fraction that has both feet and miles in it. And in this one here, the only one available to me is this one. So it's going to end up being the one I use. But sometimes you'll see 1 mile over 5,200 feet, and you'll see 5,280 feet over 1 mile, and you have to decide which one you should grab. So knowing that labels cancel, this feet, any number can be put over 1. So the label feet is in the numerator. So if I want to get rid of feet that's in the top, I want to put feet in the bottom. So this guy right here, see how the feet's in the denominator? So I want to grab this one here, and I'm going to drag it down so that the feet are in the top and the feet are in the bottom. So these labels, this one here, this feet, and this one, those labels are going to cancel. And notice the only label left over in the numerator is miles, and we're going to get miles. So once I've selected the right fraction, when you multiply across. So 1,848 times 1 is 1,848. 1 multiplied by 5,280 is 5,280. And then when you turn a fraction into a decimal, you read this like a book, 1,848, next line, divided by, next line, 5,280. Okay, so this is this division problem. So if you type that into your calculator and divide, you're going to end up with 0.35. And that's how many miles. So you're like, how many miles is 1,848 feet? It's about 0.35 miles. Okay, so let's look at 2 more. Okay, so notice I have all these options up above to choose from. First thing I'm going to do is look at the label that I start with and then the label that I end with. I have this many yards and I want to turn that into miles. So I'm going to go looking for a fraction that has yards and miles. And so for yards and miles, in this one, I have 2 options. Notice this one is miles over yards and that one's yards over miles. So I have to decide which one do I want. Keep in mind that when I'm starting off with 1,144, that's over 1, and I'm trying to get rid of the label yards. Yards is in the top, so I want to pick the one where yards is in the bottom. And yards is in the bottom in this one. So I'm going to grab that one, and I'm going to bring it down and pop it in there. And then I'm going to be able to cancel those labels. So let's put like maybe a dark gray. Okay, so this yards is going to cancel with this yards, and the only label left is miles. Now working with the numbers, you multiply straight across. So multiplying straight across, 1,144 times 1 is 1,144. 1 times 1,760 is 1,760. When I put this in my calculator, because I'd like a decimal, I'm going to take the numerator divided by the denominator. So taking the numerator divided by the denominator, I end up getting 0.65. So in other words, 1,144 yards is the same as 0.65 miles. Okay, so last example here. Starting off with all these options to choose from, and I want to change 1,848 feet, and I want to know how many miles is that. So I'm going to pick a fraction that has both feet and miles in it. So looking at my options for feet and miles, this happens to be the only option that I have. But sometimes they give you more options. So how would I know that I want to pick 1 mile over 5,280 feet instead of 5,280 feet over 1 mile? And I know because if I'm trying to get rid of the label feet, then the feet label needs to be in the denominator so that they'll cancel. So I'm going to grab this one, drag it down here, multiply straight across, and then take the top divided by the bottom, and I end up with 0.35, and it's miles. One more time, it's because the feet label canceled with the feet label, leaving me with miles.